Do you love going to Broadway shows, but can't go now because Broadway's closed? Join tour guide Tim and Belasco too as they bring Broadway history to you. Grab your Broadway passport for what's in store on your Virtual Broadway Tour.
In the late 1800s, Broadway was ruled by 6 theatrical titans known as the Theatrical Syndicate. Led by Marcus Claw, A.L. Erlanger, and Charles Frohman, they established unrivaled national theater management by creating a unified system of touring productions. With control of over 1,000 theaters in the United States, their rule seemed limitless. Could anyone upset their widespread grip? Enter the Shubert brothers of Syracuse, New York, Sam, Lee, and JJ. The theatrical mastermind of their operation was the middle brother, Sam, the first of 3 to become entangled in the theater industry. After a meteoric rise from usher to box office manager to theater owner during his teenage years, Sam, with his brothers, set his sights on Broadway. With money lining their pockets from leasing a network of unprofitable turned profitable theaters in upstate New York, the Shuberts first set up shop in New York City on 42nd Street at the Lyric Theater, right across the street from their arch enemies at the New Amsterdam Theater. In 1903, a West Side Story type battle was brewing for Broadway. Who would win? As the Schubert brothers began to build their network of theaters to rival their opponents, one fateful train ride almost derailed everything. On May 10, 1905, Sam Schubert boarded a Pullman sleeping car on an express train to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to check in on one of their theaters. Very early the following morning, Sam's train collided with another train transporting dynamite, and in an instant, a chain of earth-shaking explosions occurred. The horrific accident claimed the lives of 22 people, one of them being theatrical mastermind Sam S. Schubert. With the leader of the Schubert operation suddenly dead, how could the 2 surviving brothers continue on? A meeting was arranged between the syndicate and the Schuberts to perhaps sell the Schuberts' holdings to their rivals. At the meeting, Erlanger made the mistake of insulting Sam's reputation, and the 2 remaining brothers made a vow, then and there, to continue their fight to overthrow the theatrical syndicate. It would take them 20 more years, but by the 1920s, the Schuberts controlled 75% of the theater tickets sold in the United States, and a new monopoly had been formed. The Schubert has seen many successes throughout its history, making it one of Broadway's luckiest theaters. On July 25, 1975, the Schubert would add another hit musical to its storied history when a chorus line began performances. The brainchild of dancer and choreographer Michael Bennett, the show took a closer look at the hopes and fears of ensemble dancers who were so rarely in the spotlight. In 1983, 8 years into its run, A Chorus Line became the longest-running Broadway musical of its time. To celebrate this milestone achievement, 332 dancers from the Broadway, national, and international touring companies were assembled. During the 3,389th performance, the troupe of veterans were housed in the neighboring Booth Theater as their makeshift dressing room before flooding the stage, aisles, and balconies of the Schubert for the finale song, One. Perhaps even more special than all those dancers clad in gold suits, leotards, and top hats was a special tribute on the marquee. For the entire week leading up to the milestone performance, the electronic marquee on the front of the theater featured the individual names of all 332 dancers scrolling by on a loop. A first for most of the dancers who had dreamed of seeing their name in lights. A truly historic Broadway moment, if there ever was one. With the construction of the Schubert and Booth theaters directly opposite the Hotel Astor, fire code dictated an alley had to be included between the opposing buildings. Little did anyone know that over the next century, this alley would become the heart and home of the theater district. As the name implies, Schubert Alley is privately owned by the Schuberts. Originally, the alley was divided by a fence to separate the Hotel Astor bus depot from the pedestrian thoroughfare. Over time, large posters from current Broadway shows were placed on the fence as a sort of what's playing in constant rotation. In 1949, when the fence was removed, a similar setup of posters was created on the walls of the two theaters, and this continues to this day. And while Schubert Alley is frequently home to concerts, the Broadway flea market, and charity events, one day each year the alley must be cordoned off to any pedestrian traffic to maintain its private status. This day typically occurs on the last Sunday in July. Barricades are set up and access is restricted. Here at Broadway Up Close, we've named this day Schubert Alley Day, and we hope you'll join us in celebrating it every summer.
Hello! Happy Saturday noon on Broadway. Slightly different than our Saturday night on Broadway, but here you are. Here I am, and soon to be Max Clayton. Welcome to this Saturday noon on Broadway as part of our Broadway Up Close Virtual Broadway Tour Series. Every week we're coming to you live with someone who has worked at the theater we're featuring that week. And this week we are joined by the incredible Max Clayton from Hello, Dolly at the Schubert Theater. For those that aren't familiar with Broadway Up Close or me, my name is Tim Dolan. I'm an actor and the owner of Broadway Up Close Walking Tours in New York City. We do history, ghost stories, fun facts, all the things you didn't know you really want to know about the 41 Broadway theaters. I have an entire team that I call my green team. There's lots of green in my life that are all actors, stage managers who give your eyes and are your window to the world of our weird lives as professional theater people. We've been doing since 2010 5 exterior tours that cover all of the theaters in Times Square, 1 downtown that covers the sights and sounds of Hamilton the musical, and then of course our Ghost Light tour, which is the haunted Broadway theaters. And then last year we opened a gift shop in the middle of Times Square that has a 6-foot tall Broadway sign with 150 light bulbs and marquee letters spelling out my favorite word of Broadway. That is all currently closed thanks to my favorite thing in the world, COVID-19. I love it so much. Last year in the fall, in October, we opened our newest tour, which is inside the oldest Broadway theater, the Hudson. For more information on the tours, merchandise, while we're closed, you can order everything online. For all that info, you can head to BroadwayUpClose.com. You're going to do that after our interview. You're going to stay here and hang out with me and Max. And then when we're done, then you're going to go buy things and go maybe book a tour for some day when COVID-19 is not a thing. The reason we're doing this, I never envisioned a world of New York City without Broadway. To me, the two things are synonymous. And so as the shutdown started to keep going on and longer, first a month, then 2 months, then 6 months, and now probably a year, I started missing connecting with tour goers and theater goers and talking about theater. And so I thought we'll bring it online. So we have our Virtual Broadway Tour Series, 1 theater every week, 41 Broadway theaters, 41 weeks. It's insane. It sounded like a great idea when it first started. And now 9 weeks in, I'm like, sure, here we are. Not even 25% of the way through, but it's going well. I hope you've enjoyed this week, week 9, the Schubert Theater, one of the luckiest. For today, how's it going to work? Today's series, we'll learn all about Max's theatrical journey and his time working at the Schubert Theater and Hello, Dolly, in addition to the 8,000 actual other Broadway shows he's done in the short amount of time he's been on this earth. If you have any questions for him or for me along the way, drop it in the comments. And for those that are joining us live, hi, comment in the comments below and let us know where you're from, because otherwise I can't see you and I don't know you're here. And give me a little shout out. And so without further ado, I present to you Broadway's Max Clayton.
Max This is Clayton. So cool.
How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Tim?
Oh, just living the dream.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope you're having a great Saturday noon on Broadway.
Yeah, I got my coffee instead of booze.
That sounds about right. That feels right. Where are you? I'm
in Jersey City at home. Yeah.
Oh, great. Did you get out and away from New York City at all during this?
Yeah, I got to spend a bunch of time at home in New Hampshire with my family, which was amazing. And then I also spent time with Matt's family in Connecticut.
I love that. Matt,
yes,
your boyfriend, for those that
Matt
don't.
Doyle, yeah.
I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's been great.
To get away for a second.
Completely. I needed it.
Are you enjoying being back with things like kind of in limbo?
Yeah, I'm getting other things done. I'm doing like things I've always wanted to do that I haven't really had the time to do, like train for a marathon and get licensed in other things. So I'm making it work and trying to take advantage of the time off.
Like only you would be like, oh, we don't have work. I'll train for a marathon. Like why? Like all of us
I've always wanted to.
just eating cereal and hating our lives. And you're like, I think I'm going to go run 26 miles. Great.
Yeah, my sister and I are doing it together.
You're a ridiculous human. I think there's conversations later that are going to be about your legs because we've gotten leg questions.
Oh,
So we'll tie that into your marathon training later. For those that don't know you, will you tell us about your life? Will you tell us like where you grew up, when you first got introduced to theater, maybe college and education stories? And then once we get to there, we'll start talking about New York City, auditions, Broadway, all of that.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Manchester, New Hampshire. And I've always loved the arts. My sister Missy is an incredible dancer, and I grew up watching her and all her recitals and loved every minute of it. And I usually was on like the basketball court. But in second grade, I actually did my first show, which was The Sound of Music, and I played Kurt Von Trapp at the Palace Theater in New Hampshire, my hometown. And then after that, I kind of was like, oh no, I want to play sports, and this isn't cool, whatever, which I'm so mad at myself for thinking. So cut to like really towards high school, I started getting more passionate about it. And I went to Carnegie Mellon's pre-college program before my senior year of high school, like absolutely fell in love with it. They taught me how to audition. They taught me how to get ready for college. And then I auditioned for a bunch of colleges, and I got into some, and I went to the University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music, CCM. I studied there for 4 years. And then in 2014, we had our senior showcase, and I moved to the big bad apple and started auditioning here. Wow.
And with CCM, obviously it's one of the most coveted schools. Max Chernin, who joined us last week. Max, I'm just lining up every Max I've ever met week by week. He joined us last week, and he also did Carnegie's program in the summer. Did you cross over? Are you the same age? I don't know.
No. So Max, we did cross over at school. Yeah. So Max was 2 years above me.
Okay.
So when I was a freshman, he was a junior. And I love Max. He's the most talented person.
Yes.
There's nothing really better than that voice.
Yeah. And like it can do everything. I was like, oh, you could sing like every style. Cool. Me too. Sure. So CCM was like on your short list of like, in a perfect world, I go to CCM and then it's going well?
Yeah. There's another fellow New Hampshireite, Garrett Haw, who also grew up and did shows at the Palace Theater where I'm from. And I knew that he went to CCM, and I always sort of had that on my eye. I'm like, okay, then maybe that's where I need to go. He's clearly made it work in New York. Like, obviously it's a great program. So I started doing more and more research. And when I auditioned for schools, I didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but it wasn't until I went to the campuses and I saw CCM or UC's campus, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, I have to be here. Yeah, I have to be here. And I loved dancing, and CCM's dance program was incredible, but it also like kicked my butt in all the other areas of theater. Yeah. And I like to say it was like a 4-year Broadway boot camp for me.
For sure. And when you moved, are there any of your other classmates who are still in the biz, who are like doing things? Wherever any other heavy hitters?
Yeah, I'd say about half of my class is still here. Wow. Excuse me, killing it. Noah Ricketts just played Kristoff on Broadway. Kimber Sprawl is one of the leads in Girl from the North Country. She's incredible in the show. Incredible. Blaine Krause and Stephanie Park are both doing Hamilton. I'm forgetting people. We're off the bat. Our first year our first year in the city, I think like 7 or 8 of us were on Broadway in the first year, which was nuts. Like that, I think is. Yeah, it was so wild, but my class was insanely talented and equally they're equally great people. So
yeah, I love that. And then so you showcase before you get to New York, and what did you do in your showcase? What did you sing to like what in your mind at that moment are you like, I crush it at these songs?
Yeah. What I love about Showcase is that it does just that. It gives you the opportunity to kind of shine in whatever light you want to see yourself in. And I always thought I was a song and dance man. So I knew I had to do something more old school, golden age so that I could showcase my dance. And then I wanted to do something contemporary so I could do like current shows. So I did an arrangement of Blue Skies, and it was like this very jazzy version from White Christmas.
Yeah.
And they made an incredible arrangement of it, and I danced like my face off, and it was just like, and then I did, I sang Lady's Choice from the Hairspray film that Link Larkin did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why not? I'm sure like no one. It was like new still.
Right.
I had like like most unreal 3-year-olds behind me, like killing it, and we did this amazing. Like, I know I need to find videos of those.
Yeah, we got to find that. Some ways Pixar didn't happen. So that goes well. You get an agent from your showcase.
Yeah, I met with a few agents after that, and I signed with the one that I'm currently still with, CGF Talent, who I love so much, and they've been incredible to me, and I feel like we're a great team, and we know what works and what I should and shouldn't be doing, and it's been awesome.
Okay, so then you get to New York, and what do you think is like your first big show where you were like, oh, I booked it, I'm not untalented, okay, maybe this might work?
You mean for Broadway shows?
I think just like any show, maybe it's your Broadway debut. What was your Broadway debut? I can't remember.
My Broadway debut was Gigi, but before I did Gigi, I did a production of On the Town in Chicago, and I played Gaby.
That's right.
And I auditioned for that like the second I got to the city. Like it was my first audition, I think. Right after my showcase, I signed with CGF, and they're like, we have this audition for Gaby. You're perfect for Gaby. You got to go. Right. And I went, and I got it. And that, I think, was the first time I was like, okay, I think I can do this. Like, I think I definitely want it. But I think that I'm here, and I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing.
And so you go to Chicago right after college, and where was it? Marriott, Lincolnshire?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the Marriott.
I love that. And how long did you do it there for?
It was like a 2-3 month gig.
Okay.
And it was the time of my life.
And Gigi happens like right away?
Yeah, I was actually in the middle of the run of On the Town, and my agents called and said, hey, they need one more person for the Gigi revival. It's going to Kennedy Center. It's not going to Broadway. But they want someone. It's Josh Bergas, who I've always loved, and he was doing On the Town on Broadway at the time.
Yeah.
They're like, you're perfect for it. Just go, and they need someone to cover Corey Cott. So I was like, but I'm in Chicago, and I can't afford to fly to New York just for an audition. They're like, Max, welcome to New York. This is what you're gonna have to do. You know what I mean? Like, it will be worth it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they know. I mean, they're not. I don't think they're gonna make you fly if it's not. Like, you know.
They're like, just trust us, go invest, get a plane ticket, and shut up. And so I went for the final call. It was, again, just for like one track. I was there all day. They had me stay the next day to do all of the Gaston, the role I ended up covering, all his sides. And I got to the airport because I had another show, and my agents called and were like, you got it. They're just going to give it to you. You start immediately after On the Town. And again, it's just for Kennedy Center, so we can't say like congrats on your first Broadway show. But
sure. Fast forward to
opening night in DC, they announced that we were transferring. So they were like, after this run, we'll have 2 weeks off, and then we'll have a 2-week rehearsal process, and then we're just going to go. Because it was so in our bodies. They were like, we're making a couple changes, but it's not going to be anything crazy. And it was amazing.
And the show runs for years, and you do it.
Right.
Oh, wait.
Right.
For 30 seconds. But prior to it closing, 30 seconds later, do you remember, like, what's your Broadway debut, opening night? You're originating this thing at the Neil Simon. Like, tell me everything. Was it everything that you think it's going to be, or was it like we'd already done the Kennedy Center, so it's just another theater?
It's kind of half and half.
Sure.
Like, it was everything I wanted it to be. My dad was there. I got dinner with him beforehand, and I remember walking to the theater and into the stage door and thinking, that was for my first preview, and I was like, wow, this is what I wanted. This is it. This is everything. Doing the show, it felt like I was at home at the Palace Theater in New Hampshire, because I knew the show inside and out. It was so much fun to be with those people. I honestly wouldn't have wanted my debut any other way.
Yeah.
It was so comfortable, and it felt perfect.
Yeah. There's less stress. You're not like being put into Wicked year 18.
No.
You rehearsing at Ripley Greer for 2 weeks by yourself, and then the cast is like, congratulations, it's Thursday. It's not.
No, it happened the way it was supposed to.
I love that. Okay, so then you've done 37 Broadway shows. So let's fast forward through. That might not even be an exaggeration. So then Gigi goes into what?
So Gigi closes. The next day, my agent calls and says, "Do you want to be in On the Town?"
Is this the thing your agent does? They're like, we wait till the day you finish a show, and then they're like, we're ready for the next show.
No, actually, the way it worked is we got our closing notice for Gigi, and we had 2 more weeks ahead. The next day after our closing notice, my agent called and said, "Do you want to be On the Town after this?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't even auditioned for On the Town. Like, what do you mean?" They're like, "You have an offer to cover Tony Yazbek, and to be in the ensemble. They need an immediate replacement. Josh Bergas knows you did it in Chicago.
Yeah.
He's just worked with you in Gigi. You have this opportunity." And that was the best day ever.
Wow. And I was years ago going, I've known Max since he didn't have big thighs. And and I was walking through Bryant Park on the way to a tour one day, and I hear New York, New York. And I was like, that sounds like Max. And I look, and you were doing sound check for Broadway and Bryant Park. And I texted you and was like, "Hi.
I remember this.
Are you in this show now?" And you were like, "Yes." And I was like, "Your life, what are you doing?"
It was fun because I got to do a bunch of the press events. I never went on for Gaby because I was there for the last couple months. And by the time I learned my track and then started learning the show was done. But I got to do a bunch of press events as Gaby. And again, it felt so right. I knew the show inside and out. I knew the role inside and out. I was just felt prepared. And again, it put my mind at ease.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay. So then On the Town closes, and then what happens?
After On the Town, I went to Paper Mill to do Bandstand.
Ah, sure.
And then after Bandstand at Paper Mill, I went and did West Side Story, an awesome production of West Side Story in Washington, D.C. again. And I went to played Riff at Signature. And from there, I went and did Anastasia.
Oh, that's right. Come on. Yes, that's right.
Anastasia, and then Something Rotten, and then then Bandstand on Broadway. And then I did Hello, Dolly at the Shubert. And then Pretty Woman and Moulin Rouge.
You are ridiculous. That is, and you're like, and I'm 22 and I just learned how to do it. Great. You still got it. You look great. You are this person, Caitlin, not this person. It's Caitlin. She says you are a legend.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You're just killing it. Other compliments we've gotten so far. Your apartment color palette is 100. Sam.
That's Matt.
Actually,
I'm gonna raise the shade. I need some more light.
Sure. While you're doing that, Sam also says you're Mr. Broadway of the world. So there's that. Okay, we have a bandstand question while you're talking about Bandstand. So because you dance and you're incredible at all the things. Hi, Mac. This is Tom. We love Tom. More challenging choreography, Bandstand or Moulin Rouge? P.S. You made both look effortless. Really?
Oh, thank you, Tom. Bandstand was definitely the most challenging physical show I've ever done. Moulin Rouge, there's a ton of dance and choreography and a ton of costumes and a ton of sweating. But as far as my track goes, Bandstand was far more complicated.
And you also covered Corey Cott in that.
Yeah, so that was really fun because I got to cover him again. And that's when Andy was like, we know you covered Corey, and Gigi, come in and read for Donnie. And I said, well, I don't play the piano. And he was like, that's okay, just come and read, sing, and everything. And I did. And then the next day they called and they're like, so you're starting piano lessons. We are giving you a piano coach. She'll be coming to your apartment. You have a keyboard on the way, and you're going to learn how to play piano. And so that's what happened.
You did?
I did. I learned how to play his show. Right. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I memorized all the Donnie Nowitzki piano tracks.
Let me guess. You were like, instantly your hands were like, you were.
Yeah. Well, I always say that it was choreography for my fingers.
Sure. That's one way to look at it. Sure. Yeah. I guess if you're like, I don't ever have to like know all how to do the whole instrument. I just need to know how to play this thing. Maybe that's
memorize
a one-track mind of just memorizing the hand movement. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. You're here because really you worked at the Schubert, and that's what we've been featuring all week.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Hello, Dolly. We have one question about the rehearsal process, which is, hi, Max. Waiter's Gallop is one of my all-time favorite dance scenes ever. What was that rehearsal process like for that specific scene? And what was it like working with Warren? I have to read it with an exclamation point and a question mark. What was it like working with Warren?
Warren Carlisle.
Warren Carlisle.
The dream.
Gentlemen.
Well, to answer your question, I replaced in Hello, Dolly. So my rehearsal experience for the Waiter's Gallop was rather interesting, in the sense that I learned my entire track, which, as you know, is a crazy weave, wave, maze, madness, mayhem, just with myself and like some tape on the floor at Ripley Greer and Pearl Studios with MJ Slinger, who was their amazing dance captain. Like, that's all I had. Those were my bodies. So it was really crazy being put into the show. They do an incredible job of making sure everyone's safe, knows where they're going, who they're behind, who they're cutting in front of, because it's insane traffic. So I felt very safe. But working with Warren was awesome. It's funny because I didn't actually work with him at all during Hello, Dolly. I worked with him when Bernadette Peters came in, and we got to bring her and rehearse the show. But because I wasn't in the original production, I didn't ever work with him. But I had the opportunity to with Bernadette, and I had the opportunity to work with him on Music Man labs and pre-pro and stuff. Sure. And he's incredible. He's amazing. Watching him work is so fascinating. He's so talented.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think is so interesting about the business when you go in as a replacement, because sometimes you're like doing the direction and choreography of these people that you've never met, and you've just met the associate who's said it, you know. And then if you're in a show long enough, it's like the associate to the assistant to the, you know, it's it's crazy. It's wild.
When I joined Something Rotten, I was a replacement, and I was in the show for about a month. And then Casey Nicolau, the director and choreographer, came in to watch the like original cast final performance before the cast turnover. Yeah. And he came backstage, and I reached my hand out. I was like, "Hi, I'm Max Clayton. It's so nice to meet you." And he's like, "I know who you are." And I'm like, "I know, but we've just never met. We've never met."
Right. You're like, I love that.
Weird.
Right.
It's really, really weird and strange. I'm like, I'm doing all of your work, and like, you trusted me to do this, and I have never even met you, because you weren't even at the audition, because you were doing, you know, incredible things elsewhere. So the associates were in. I
had a friend who was one of the Glindas in Wicked years ago, and she was like, I didn't meet Joe Mantello until like 3 years in, and he like was like, well, let's talk about your performance. And she was like, yes, let's please talk about it. Like, how do you envision Glinda, original director who I've never met, but I've been done the show for like 8,000 performances. Right. Yeah, I don't know. That aspect of the business has always been wild to me, where it's like he set it and forget it. And then, but they're still aware. They get the performance reports every night.
Oh, yeah.
And who's out. They know, but
they know everything.
It's crazy. Caitlin is a follow-up where she says they're throwing plates. That's insane to do it in a rehearsal room with tape. So like props you're not using at Ripley Greer or Pearl, right? They're just like a plate, don't get hit.
Right. If it doesn't involve you and you don't physically touch it, then it's probably not going to be there. But then everything that you do, like I had a big like spear sword thing, like fight across the stage. And so I had that in the rehearsal room that I would just like do it myself across the stage.
Great. Crazy. So crazy. So then your first time doing Waiter's Gallop with the full company was your put-in rehearsal?
I actually had one opportunity to do it for the person I was replacing alongside. He had to put in before me. So I got to kind of sneak into his rehearsal. So I had one extra, which was like huge, because I never have rehearsals for replacing.
That's insane. Okay, so then flash forward to Moulin Rouge. It's crazy. It's epic. You've been in it since the very beginning, right? You've been first workshop with you
like 3.5 years.
Yeah, which is crazy. So then walk us through like what that process has been like, doing a show that cost $28 million and has been like, from what I know and what you've told me, like the money has been crazy since it's been like top notch as Broadway as you can get. with the money behind it from the moment it started. So what's it like to do a show that you're already pretty sure is going to do well because it has this backing and this name and brand behind it? What's that like?
It's refreshing and it's a relief going from shows that have been, so near and dear to me, but have just lasted like 3 to 6 months, and going to a show like Moulin Rouge. When we did our first reading lab workshop, whatever you want to call it, down in the Lower East Side, we didn't actually know what it would be like. We didn't know. We knew that it was going to be different from the film, and we knew it would be different music. So we didn't know what the reaction was going to be, even though we loved it and thought it was incredible and so much fun. We were like, but people are going to be mad that it's not the film. But we're like, but it's
right.
But we're like, but it's, Baz Luhrmann's on the team. He's not going to let us do anything that's not going to be received well, yada, yada, yada. Cut to going to Boston. And we did our first preview in Boston. And I was like, okay, that's when the relief set in. As far as, great. That's just what we needed. We needed one audience. We needed to hear their reaction. We know they love it. This is going to be fun. And then we could kind of like sit back and enjoy it. But up until that point, it felt like the same regular process to me.
Yeah.
With a lot more glitter, lights, and dancing.
Sure. Yeah, I can't imagine that first curtain call in Boston had to have been like, as it washes over you, just like, I mean, we had people, I can always tell because we talk to so many people on our sidewalk so one-on-one. So I can always tell like what they're really excited for, what shows they're already talking about, like Hadestown, they talked about years and years before. So I can always tell. And so we had a lot of people that were like, I'm driving to Boston and going to the first preview Moulin Rouge, which I think was canceled because the entire theater, like the steel,
the grid
broke or whatever with the Colonial. And so they were bummed. But then we had, you could just tell the momentum of it right at the beginning before anyone's even seen it. It was wild.
It was so wild. And we always say like some of those Boston audiences were the craziest we've ever had.
I'm sure.
There's something about, and I'm from outside of Boston and I love Boston so much. So being able to be home, I was like, these people know how to party.
They know how to do it. Well, and it starts and you walk into that theater and it's, who designed the sets? Who won the Tony? No,
Derek McLean. He didn't win yet, but
now basically, I know. Well, if and when that ever happens, like, just get it to him and Adrian Warren. You're like, what are we doing? Just do it. Just do it. So yeah, I mean, the set is like so wild, and then that it starts, and you just feel you're like, oh, here we go. This
get ready.
And I imagine, I don't know, the Colonial in Boston is much larger than the Al Hirschfeld.
Much larger, yeah.
So then there's that aspect too of like just that many more people, and it's larger, and it
was so insane. And because we had a little holds because of the construction issues, when it actually ended up happening, it was like even bigger.
Crazy. Tim Mars says, what's it like working with my goddess Robin Herder?
Hi Tim, your goddess, mine too. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like you know her. I feel like you guys broke the Instagram internet. Like,
yeah, I've heard of her.
Opening my Playboy one day, and it was like Broadway's Max Clayton and Robin Herder, Instagram stars. I was like, what are you now? Now you're also a social media wizard? Yes, and the answer is yes. Okay, so what's it like working with her and going on that ride?
I feel like you know what it's like working with her because everything that you see is exactly what you get backstage and on stage. She's the most full out, incredible beast I know. And she does not know how to give less than 100%. And when she's hurting and when she's so tired and when she really is like, oh God, I don't know, like my shoulder, you just don't know. You just don't see it at all. She refuses to do anything less than. And I think that's why I love her so much.
And when you first met her, was it like instant, like, oh, we're the same people, let's go make some Instagram stories together? It
was instant. When I say instant, it was in the Lower East Side for the first workshop of Moulin Rouge. That's when we met. I had worked with Clyde, her husband, on the town, but very briefly. Mm-hmm. So I knew who she was. And I remember like seeing her downstairs in the dressing rooms once with like her little teeny tiny baby Hudson. And so I knew who she was, yada, yada, yada. I knew we had a million mutual friends, but the first day of rehearsal, we were sitting down for music rehearsal and she was in the front row and I was like off in the back, like diagonally. And she went, "You." I feel like we need to know each other.
And
And I was like, I know. She's like, I know everything about you. And we, from that very moment, didn't leave each other's sides.
Wow, it's crazy. And have you seen each other? COVID-19, global pandemic craziness. Have you seen each other?
Just virtually and on FaceTime and stuff, but not in person yet. They've been like here, there, and everywhere, and it's hard and it's a weird time. So,
oh yes,
we're definitely in touch though, as you assume.
Sure. So talk to me. This Maria Bowman says, what was the last show before the shutdown like for the Moulin Rouge cast? She was there. What a lucky performance. So that was Wednesday night, because you guys have a Thursday matinee and you guys were the first ones that were like, abort, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
They ended up canceling the Thursday matinee before the Broadway shutdown.
Right.
Because of blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And that was a weird time because they were like, there's press outside, the audience is lined up, they don't know that this is happening, we have to cancel our show, we have a cast member who has symptoms, X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, most of our I'd already been sick at that point. I probably recovered and didn't even know. And it was before they even were humoring testing for COVID.
Yeah, so no one knew. It's
no one knew.
You're not like, I bet this is going to be a global pandemic that's going to ruin the entire world and shut down Broadway for a year. Let's get you a nose swab. No.
But to answer your question, the last show we did that Wednesday night, that the week leading up to the shutdown, I have to say was eerie, especially for our cast who we were used to walking out on stage for pre-show to see it completely full. That's all we had ever known. And the week leading up to it, when tourism started slowing down and ticket sales started going down, and to see the emptiness in the theater was so odd, and something that I really will never forget.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, that's what I think what audiences don't realize is that you, especially in a show that you do 8 times a week, you become accustomed to how it's selling. And that's your first way of knowing that closing notice is imminent.
On the way.
Crazy. And so then every
show was dealing with that, except for my boyfriend, Matt, who was in the revival of Company, their show had just started previews that week. So they were packed full house every night. Aside from the new shows like that, everyone was seeing an insane dip.
Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah, it was sad. It was crazy. And it happened. So, I mean, I had heard underpinnings from overseas with people we work with that were like, it's here, it's pretty bad, I hope you guys don't get it. You're like, well, yeah, you guys are so far away. We're not gonna, it'll be fine, whatever. Make more t-shirts, it'll be fine. It's all gonna be fine. And then they closed the gates to, the UK, and I was like, what? And so then we start getting cancellations of all the international guests who are booked. You're like, all right, well, it'll be fine. And then March 12th happened. All the tourism community, all the tour guides call it Red Thursday. Which is March 12th, and then it's here we are. I mean, it's crazy. Has it, other than training for a marathon, you're a ridiculous human. Other than training for a marathon, what's the mental with both you and Matt being in Broadway shows down the street from each other that were closed, and ginormous shows that will both be in the Tony running if the Tonys were a thing this year? What's that like as a couple with both of you being hit so hard?
It's been both challenging and we're surprisingly now figuring it out and kind of adjusting, which stinks to say, but it's also what you have to do. And at the beginning, it was a very different thing than it is today. You wake up and you're just used to it, and it's weird that this is the reality, but it is. So at the beginning, it was tough. We had dreamt of this time to be able to be on the same block in 2 hit shows and to be in non-competing categories together. And it was going to be a huge year for Matt. So we were so excited. And we dreamt of getting to go get dinner between shows, getting to visit each other. And then that literally never happened. It was the first week. So that was tough. But we are optimistic about the other side. We're both fortunate to be in shows that will be back. And we know they'll be back. And our companies and our producers have made it very clear that we will be back. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we just are holding on to that and enjoying the time to rest our bodies, rest our voices, and
Run a marathon.
Figure it out. Run a marathon. I honestly, I am like, I'm used to doing 8 shows a week of madness and sweating my face off. I cannot just sit around. I'm like, the first month, I was literally like jittery.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that brings us to your legs. Said me, never have I ever talked to someone and said, so let's talk more about your legs. So this is, we got 2 questions. I'm going to start with the more hilarious one from Neil Haskell.
Stop, Neil.
With those gams, brah. Which I'm sure he was joking, but I was like, well, Neil, we're going to do this. We're going to.
Neil, you have to tell me.
Yeah, right. This is
he's insane.
Yeah, he's posting thirst trap photos. I was like, Neil,
I love Neil.
Quarantine. And then Josh Fab Dude from Instagram says, what is your workout routine for those legendary thighs?
Wow. Thank you.
Lots of
so, people always ask me about that, and it's like half. I've always just had really, really like big legs. So it's half that. Okay. Half I love like leg day is not something that I'm like, I don't want to do leg day. I love it. So here's now a good time to pitch Built for the Stage, because Joe Roscoe and the Built for the Stage fam have really saved me during this time. And they have great workouts catered to you with nutrition plans if you want. Like I love him. And he keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, it's I started it in May. I had seen people do it and I was like, I don't have dates. I don't have anything. All right, I'm going to start this. Let's go. And yeah, it's magical. It gives me something every day. You're like, okay, I'll write my emails, I'll do my work, and then I'll go to the park and he'll ruin my life.
Yeah, and I feel accomplished, and it keeps me motivated and keeps me going. But specific leg things, I love squatting, and I love the quad machine.
Sure, as you do. Do your gym? Your building has a gym, or are you in?
Our building has a gym, and so it's open now. But for the first few months, we were doing it in our apartment. We got weights sent to us that are like the adjustable kind that you twist and pull up, and figured it out. And now the gym's open in my building, thankfully. So
crazy.
I'm able to go there.
Okay, so your social media is like a big thing. You're all over the world, and everyone saw your White Claw, walking on White Claw, which I don't even know what that is, but I saw it and I was like, what is this kid doing now? And so Shannon Herrera wants to know, how much time do you spend on TikTok?
At the beginning, I was spending too much time. Like, I'm embarrassed to even say, but it was the only outlet I had to kind of stay creative and like exercise that right side of my brain. So I was obsessed with it. Yeah. I was trying to do like 3 dance challenges a day. Matt was rolling his eyes. And now we laugh about it because as you probably know, TikTok is an app, but it also has tons of trends and what's it called? Like challenges, I guess.
Sure.
And one of them was Iggy Azalea had her song Work, when it starts with like walk a mile in these Louboutins, and people were putting ridiculous things on their feet and like calling it a heel, and then walking around their house making the video, and it was hilarious. Like, for instance, people would put like an oven mitt on their foot, so it had like a little tiny heel, and they would strut to that song, and it all became viral. So then that's when I decided to do the White Claw heel, and I fell flat on my face, and it was spraying everywhere. And so when I went home to the beach with my sister Missy, we went in even further and made them like super heels. And now they've been on CBS. They're going to be on BuzzFeed. It's the whole thing.
Like, what? I mean, Shannon follows up by saying she loves your TikTok. So
thank you, Shannon.
Any amount of investment of time, it's worth it. It's paying off. Come on, your life. Tim Mars says, tell us about your insanely fun mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. My insanely fun mom is the best person in this world. Her name's Jane. She's a principal at my high school, at Central High School in Manchester, New Hampshire. She's the epitome of a good time and fun. Her license plate is having fun. Her Instagram handle is also having fun one. So give her a follow. But no, she's the best. I grew up with like closets of props and wigs, and like it's no wonder that both my sister and I are performers, because we grew up with just the best mom who, like, Halloween is her everything. It's her everything. So she would build all these elaborate costumes, and she just loved being fun and not taking life so seriously all the time, because she was such a hard worker. So I think that was her outlet, and it's definitely rubbed off on us.
Incredible. Yeah, she's a wonderful human. Okay, we have 2 last Moulin Rouge questions, and then we're going to go let you do Saturday things that involve coffee and probably running. Favorite song or scene in Moulin Rouge, Andrea says?
To dance, I love Bad Romance or Backstage Romance, and I love Roxanne. Like, those are my 2 favorites to do. But in general, I love the end of Act 2 when we are doing the show within the show, and it's the crazy rolling combo happening. That's my favorite segment of the show.
It's wild. The whole thing is wild. Just when you're like, it can't get any crazier than this, then it gets crazier than that. It's wild. Let me get rid of. There we are. Okay, we have one final question, and I think it's a really good one. It's from Teresa Flanagan, who's one of our green team, actually. She's a stage manager. Her show, she was working on Intimate Apparel, an opera with Bart Scher at Lincoln Center. So she says, how much rehearsal, of course, she's a stage manager. This is, of course, a stage manager question. How much rehearsal do you think you need to get the show back up, or do you think it'll come right back to you?
That is a great question. I think we know it so well, and it's so in our bones now, that it wouldn't take too much time for it to come back. The issue, I think, is going to be more about tech and people who maybe not able to come back, and if the crew's different, or it's going to be those sort of things that may make the process a little longer. As far as like our tracks, I think I remember it all. It's just going to be like a full year. Yeah. So it's a real thing. And so for safety reasons, I'm sure there's going to be
all kinds
every show is going to need multiple weeks of rehearsal. Yeah.
Because
then you're dealing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, and then you're dealing with, like I said, people who may not be able to come back to the show, or crew that may not be able to come back to the show. So we have to then worry about replacements, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. The whole thing is crazy. A couple of producers I had heard from said it'll probably cost like $750,000 to $1 million just to like each show back on its feet. And so it's like that. I don't know. It's such a crazy time to be alive. It's unprecedented. I don't think anyone on any level really knows, but it'll be interesting to watch the navigation of that back into it. And like you say, when it happens, not if it happens. Which is awesome. You're incredible as always.
Thank you for having me again.
Virtually. You're awesome. How should we follow you on social media? What are your Instagram? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. My handle's at Max M Clayton. So my name, but my middle initial is M, as in Michael.
Great. I love that. Go follow him if you don't already. I have a feeling a lot of you do. You're awesome.
Thank you, Tim.
Everything. Good luck with
you too
on training, and I'll see you running the streets in our Built for the Stage t-shirts. I'm sure at some point.
Yes.
After this over. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. I do this every week, but I always say that these people are magical. If you've ever seen him in a show, whether as the lead, whether on for an understudy in the ensemble, I mean, you can see he's just like a monster, triple threat, can do everything and makes it look easy, which is why he's done 49 million Broadway shows at the beautiful age that he is. But it's also, you see like his demeanor, just people want to be around him. And I think that's the biggest thing you learn in this industry when you meet successful people, is the big key component is a lot of them are also most of them are just really nice, grounded humans who are just trying to like show up and do work in this insane, crazy industry, especially now. And so I've known him for a very long time, and their family for a very long time. The Claytons are a wonderful clan of people. And I love that some of you know his mom. Makes me very happy. This week, I can't remember if we talked about it last week, but we just released our Broadway mask. So for our new merch, it's our Broadway sign made into a beautiful textile. If you go on our Instagram, you'll see it modeled by my mascot, Belasco, my French bulldog, who's sleeping next to me, just passed out, waiting for Dad to take him out for a walk. And then we have, as always, our entire journey is to our Broadway passport, which is all the Broadway theaters that we put into one little book. And you can get a little stamp that we sell now, so you can stamp at home instead of at our kiosk, because that's not a thing right now. And you can put all the shows you've seen, Moulin Rouge. You can really start by putting all of the shows Max Clayton you've seen him in, and then go from there, and that'll fill up half your book, and then onward you go. So I'll put a link up to Lisa Miller wearing it now. I love that. Hi, Lisa. I love you. I hope all is going well. So let me put up the link to our souvenir shop. Is just broadwayupclose.com/souvenirs. Has all the things we ship very quickly, because that's my life, is going to the post office, which I will be doing right after this. If you want to follow us, if you don't follow us on Instagram, at Broadway Up Close is where you can find us on there, both Instagram feed and stories. And then, of course, Facebook, which is where you are now. So you should continue to follow us or hit like or follow. Every week on our YouTube page, we put the entire week. So this interview with all of the fun fact videos that we've done throughout the entire week to our passport, all of that will go on YouTube every Sunday. So if you want to just binge watch the entire thing in one go instead of scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, that's where you can find all of that in one place. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you for spending your Saturday noon on Broadway. Next Monday, we start, fast forward in 2 days, to our next Broadway theater, which is physically attached to the Schubert, is my hint that I'll give you for what that theater is. I just edited all the videos. I think you're gonna like it. It's some cool stuff. As I've been prone to say, we are now officially one day closer to Broadway. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Happy Saturday noon on Broadway. And we'll see you again next week for our next theater. Bye, guys.